因为工作曾经走过一些地方，媒体讯息多起来了，泛滥了，但够真实吗？
世界可以更好，但是我们该怎么做？看着这些孩子，让人心痛；看着这些土地，也让人不舍。
生是生命，死又搁是生命。人间哪有爱心？为何还搁有痛苦？
眼看到，
心念动，
苦痛能扭转吗？
我们有多想扭转
？At the sound of gunfire, everyone looks fearful and apprehensive. Due to civil war, Syrian refugees swarm into Europe. In Nepal, a massive earthquake levels everything to the ground. Standing in the middle of debris, this woman is at a loss. In the Philippines, a super typhoon leaves a trail of destruction along its path. The storm not only devastates the land, but also people's hearts. But wherever there are people in need, Tzu Chi volunteers will be there to help. Be it along refugees' journeys to their destinations, in the aftermath of an earthquake, or in a town wiped out by a typhoon. As of 2016, Tzu Chi had brought aid to more than 90 countries and regions around the world. Whenever a disaster strikes, as long as there's a way to get to the affected areas, Tzu Chi volunteers will do all they can to be there. In 2003, Tzu Chi became an NGO under the United Nations umbrella. In 2008, it became the first overseas NGO allowed to register in China. In 2010, the UN Economic and Social Council granted special consultative status to Tzu Chi. Compassion is human nature. Founded in Taiwan in 1966 out of compassion for the suffering, Tzu Chi has now become a synonym for love and goodness to many people around the world. This small wooden cabin has many stories to tell. Let's start with a question that a Buddhist Dharma master asked herself when she was young. This is Dharma Master Zheng Yan, the founder of Tzu Chi Foundation. Ever since she was young, she often wondered, what is the meaning of life? Born in a time of war, witnessing the cruelty of man-made calamities, she asked herself, why?
小小的年纪，我就会想，人生，为何而来？
To seek the answer, in 1962, then 25-year-old Master Zheng Yan left her well-to-do family and became a Buddhist nun. She settled in Hualien, eastern Taiwan, and devoted herself to spiritual cultivation in a small wooden cabin behind a Buddhist temple. In 1966, 3 Catholic nuns visited Master Zheng Yan. During their conversation, the nuns mentioned the work Catholics had done for society. What they said struck a chord with Master Zheng Yan. Not long afterwards, Master Zheng Yan started guiding her followers to help the poor, living out the Buddha's teachings to benefit humanity as her master, Venerable In Shun, had told her to do. Despite having scarce resources, they managed to provide aid to the needy regularly. Moved by their charitable work, more and more people were inspired to take part in the good cause by becoming their donating members. All things are difficult before they are easy. Over time, Tzu Chi's charitable work gradually took shape. By encouraging everyone to save 50 NT cents in a bamboo coin bank every day, Tzu Chi was able to collect more funds and help more people in need. All donations Tzu Chi collected went to charitable work. Living by the motto, "No work, no meal," Master Zhengyan and her monastic disciples did not accept offerings from others, but did handiwork and grew vegetables to support themselves. On May 14, 1966, Tzu Chi was officially established. The founding of Tzu Chi coincided with the beginning of a new era for Taiwan. After World War II, most people of Taiwan lived in poverty. To help them recover from the war, the U.S. provided aid to Taiwan for 15 years until 1965. In the following decade, Taiwan's economy took off and industries prospered. Tzu Chi's first mission of charity also started to take root. Not long after Tzu Chi began its charitable work, an elderly woman from China became its first long-term aid recipient. Apart from caring for the poor, Tzu Chi also provided emergency relief, built houses, and held winter aid distributions for the needy. Back then, there were few Tzu Chi volunteers, and most of them were housewives. But together, they had given Tzu Chi's charitable work a great push forward. This family was one of Tzu Chi's aid recipients. As the wife was deaf, mute, and mentally challenged, the husband had to take care of her and their 2 young children, while also struggling to make ends meet for his family. Learning of their condition, Tzu Chi decided to provide them with rice every month and even tailor-made clothing for them every winter. This is how mindfully Tzu Chi cared for the needy when it was first founded. Today, over 50 years later, this spirit of embracing all like family remains unchanged. In 1999, Taiwan experienced its most devastating earthquake in more than a century. Within 10 days after the quake hit, over 100,000 volunteer shifts from Tzu Chi were arranged to carry out disaster relief. Among the 108 quake-damaged schools rebuilt by civic groups, over 50 of them were reconstructed by Tzu Chi. In 2014, powerful gas explosions ripped through Kaohsiung, Taiwan. In 2015, a powder explosion occurred at a water park in New Taipei City, Taiwan. After the incidents, Tzu Chi volunteers provided continued care to those affected for a long period of time. Also in 2015, Typhoon Sudalor devastated northern Taiwan.
8月8号那一天大水来啊，瞬间一直涨。
Tzu Chi volunteers quickly went to help clean up the disaster areas.
我们能为灾民乡亲能做些什么事？
你们这不简单，像这样还要清。
5天没睡，
我现在已经5天没有睡，5天没睡。
They also visited those affected to cheer them on.
扣力，加油！有力量吗？有。
From the people Tzu Chi helped in the early years, Master Zhengyan came to realize that many people became poor due to illness or vice versa. Illness can consume people from the inside out. To put an end to poverty, illness needs to be resolved first. This is how medicine, following charity, became the second mission of Tzu Chi. In 1972, Tzu Chi set up a free clinic to provide medical services to the poor. But a free clinic, after all, is not the same as a hospital. In 1979, Master Zhengyan started raising funds and looking for land to build a hospital. After overcoming many obstacles, the hospital was finally completed. In 1986, Tzu Chi Hospital in Hualien opened for service. In 2002, it became the first medical center in eastern Taiwan. Today, Tzu Chi's deposit-free inpatient service, hospital volunteer system, and body donor program have all had a great impact on the hospitals in Taiwan. All around Taiwan, Tzu Chi has set up 6 hospitals in Guanshan, Yuli, Hualien, Taipei, Taichung, and Dalian to safeguard people's health. Beyond Taiwan, members of Tzu Chi International Medical Association regularly go on medical outreaches to serve those in need of medical care, bringing hope to the ill and their families. After Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital was built, aware of the lack of nurses in eastern Taiwan, Master Zhengyan decided to set up a nursing school. With that, Tzu Chi's third mission of education started to unfold in the third decade after Tzu Chi was founded. In 1989, Tzu Chi Junior College of Nursing was established. In the following years, Tzu Chi further set up a university, secondary schools, elementary schools, and kindergartens, completing an education system from preschool to doctorate programs. When Master Zhengyan first started Tzu Chi's mission of education, apart from nurturing professionals for society, what she also had in mind was imparting propriety and moral values in the younger generations through character-based education. This is the anatomy classroom in Tzu Chi University, where numerous medical students have respectfully learned from their silent mentors or body donors. After a semester of anatomy class, a memorial service is held to honor the body donors. In fact, before each anatomy class, the students will visit the families of their silent mentors. Having learned more about their lives, the students are inspired to practice on them with more love and care as if they were real patients. As part of its mission of education, Tzu Chi also helps rebuild schools damaged by disasters in other parts of the world. As of 2016, it has constructed over 200 schools in 16 countries and regions around the globe. In Taiwan, besides rebuilding 51 schools after the massive earthquake in 1999, since 2014, Tzu Chi has been helping to reconstruct old and unsafe school buildings in several counties. In addition to schools, society also plays a vital role in educating people. To spread wholesome values in society, mass communication is important. In Tzu Chi's 4th decade, with the inauguration of a cultural center, Tzu Chi's mission of culture had been well established. Every disaster brings with it a lesson. Every photo tells a story. In 1967, Tzu Chi's newsletter was published. 9 months later, it became Tzu Chi Monthly magazine. In 1998, Rhythms Monthly was issued. The same year, Da'ai TV, a global satellite channel, was launched. Together with Da'ai e-radio and various new media platforms made possible by modern technology, Tzu Chi's Cultural Center is able to share values of love and goodness with more people around the world and around the clock. By producing truthful contents that inspire hearts and elevate minds, Tzu Chi's cultural mission strives to highlight the bright side of humanity and bring home the human capacity of selfless love. When people's love is awakened and put into action, world peace will no longer be a distant goal. Touching upon a variety of topics such as arts, culture, and environmental protection, all of the works produced by Tzu Chi's Cultural Center are not only culturally integrated with the local community, but also reflect universal values shared by people around the world. Charity, medicine, education, and culture are referred to as the 4 missions of Tzu Chi. In addition to these 4 missions, Tzu Chi has another 4 important endeavors, namely international relief, bone marrow donation, community volunteerism, and environmental protection. For 25 years, Tzu Chi has never been absent from major international relief efforts. The Syrian Civil War since 2011, the 3/11 earthquake in Japan in 2011, the Haiti earthquake in 2010, the Sichuan earthquake in China in 2008,
We gotta get out of here.
the Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004, the Iraq War in 2003. Wherever there are people in need of aid, Tzu Chi volunteers will be there to serve. As an NGO, Tzu Chi's presence in the international community has allowed more people to witness the love and kindness of Taiwan. The origin of Tzu Chi's international relief can be traced back to 1991. That year, Tzu Chi took the first step in its international relief effort when it provided aid to Bangladesh, as well as China, after they were both affected by flooding. Back then, despite strong opposition from many people in Taiwan, Master Zhengyan insisted on helping China, carrying out relief in the 3 provinces worst hit by the floods. The way Tzu Chi volunteers personally brought timely aid with respect and gratitude to those worst affected by floods in China has become the principle of Tzu Chi's disaster relief to this day. The children in China who had once received Tzu Chi's aid have grown up. Schools in Sichuan province damaged by the earthquake in 2008 have been rebuilt. People in Gansu province suffering from long-time drought have been relocated to the villages Tzu Chi built for them. In fact, Tzu Chi's international relief knows no boundaries. By 2016, Tzu Chi had brought aid to over 90 countries around the world, regardless of race, religion, or nationality. Similar to international relief, bone marrow donation also transcends race and borders. In order to set up a bone marrow registry, Tzu Chi volunteers tried every possible way to recruit potential marrow donors. In 1993, a Taiwanese girl studying in the U.S. who suffered from leukemia visited Master Zhengyan and pleaded with her to set up a bone marrow registry.
所以说，如果我们设立了骨髓库的话，全世界各个角落的中国人都能够受惠。
必须要成立一个骨髓库，有2个突破，第一个是法律的突破，第二个是经济面的突破。
如果慈济做不起来，已经没有单位可以做了。
After making sure that donating bone marrow was harmless to health, Master Zhengyan accepted the Taiwanese government's commission to set up a bone marrow registry in 1993. In 2002, the registry was renamed Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center. Since its establishment, the center has been helping people suffering from blood-related diseases and several other conditions, with stem cells collected from bone marrow, peripheral blood, and umbilical cord blood. At the same time, Tzu Chi volunteers spare no effort to hold bone marrow donation drives to recruit more potential donors. In 2005, when the number of potential bone marrow donors worldwide reached 10 million, 280,000 of them were registered with the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center. By 2016, Tzu Chi had recruited over 400,000 potential donors and donated bone marrow and peripheral blood stem cells to more than 4,500 people in 30 countries. All this has been made possible by the hard work of Tzu Chi volunteers, as well as the quick response of the stem cells delivery team and the loving care of medical professionals. How does it feel to be on the verge of death and then given your life back? A doctor who suffered from leukemia and had a bone marrow transplant said it best.
我的血是你的，不论什么时候，不论在哪里，你永远在我的心里。
To carry out Tzu Chi's missions, be it charity, medicine, international relief, or bone marrow donation, Tzu Chi volunteers' speedy mobilization is indispensable. Therefore, an effective network of volunteers is very important. In 1996, Typhoon Herb struck Taiwan. The severity of the disaster inspired Master Zhengyan to reorganize Tzu Chi volunteers by their areas of residence. This way, whenever a disaster occurs, people living nearby can quickly team up to provide aid. Master Zhengyan's idea of community volunteerism has been put into practice not only in Taiwan, but also overseas. In 2015, when Malaysia was hit by the worst floods in decades, Tzu Chi volunteers quickly gathered together to provide aid to those affected. In 2016, one day before Chinese New Year's Eve, a strong earthquake struck southern Taiwan. Many buildings collapsed and over 100 people were killed. The quake hit at around 4 a.m., but within an hour, Tzu Chi volunteers had surveyed the damage and set up a disaster relief coordination center to serve quake victims and rescue workers alike. In South Africa, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Haiti, Jordan, and many other countries, with more local people taking part in Tzu Chi's work, a global network of volunteers has readily formed. The volunteers not only help those in need and carry out disaster relief, but also promote recycling in their communities to help protect the environment.
I fear for our future. Our planet, Earth, is threatened with an ever-expanding population and only finite resources. And by the end of the century, I truly hope humans will be living on Mars.
At the Paris Climate Change Conference in 2015, all participating countries reached a historic deal to signal the end of fossil fuels and keep global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius. For decades, global warming has become an issue of high concern among most countries around the world. If we don't wake up now, what will become of our world tomorrow? Just as how Tzu Chi volunteers cannot bear to see people suffer, they also don't have the heart to see Mother Earth wounded. During a speech in 1990, Master Zhengyan encouraged everyone to use the hands they were applauding her with to do recycling work, setting forth Tzu Chi's effort in environmental protection. As of 2016, Tzu Chi had over 100,000 recycling volunteers and more than 540 recycling stations around the world. If recycling 50 kilograms of paper can save a 20-year-old tree, then Tzu Chi volunteers have saved 25 million big old trees over the past 20+ years. And the plastic bottles they recycled have been processed and remade into numerous items of clothing, as well as blankets for those in need. All this is made possible by these unsung heroes. To better protect the environment and ensure the well-being of Mother Earth, Tzu Chi also promotes a vegetarian diet. Tzu Chi believes that as long as everyone is willing to take action, the world will eventually become a better place. Charity, medicine, education, culture, international relief, bone marrow donation, community volunteerism, and environmental protection. All these missions and endeavors of Tzu Chi have been carried out in accordance with time and circumstance to meet the needs of our world and humanity. Over the past 50 years, the world has changed greatly and become warmer and more populated. The prevalence of social media networks, the effect of global warming, and the claws of terrorism have also brought much uncertainty to our world. Still, be it rural agricultural village or high-tech modern community, wherever Tzu Chi volunteers go to carry out their work, what they also strive to do is inspire the innate selfless love in people and let them know that everyone, rich or poor, has the capacity to give with love. After all, love is the answer to all of the problems facing humanity. When love is awakened, people will support and care for one another like family. Tzu Chi is a Buddhist foundation, a non-governmental organization, and also a spiritual cultivation group. Through its missions, Tzu Chi hopes to inspire the rich to help the poor and encourage the poor who have received aid to give whatever they can to help those worse off than them. By doing so, Tzu Chi has awakened love and goodness in countless people who have crossed paths with it.
Organizations like Tzu Chi are shaping a future that reflects the shared purpose and common ideals that bind humanity together.
Since the first aid recipient over 50 years ago, Tzu Chi's conviction to relieve suffering has never wavered. In disaster-stricken areas, war-torn countries, or out-of-the-way places, wherever there are people in need, there are Tzu Chi volunteers giving of themselves. Before we can listen to others, we first need to humble ourselves. This is an example set by Master Zhengyan herself since Tzu Chi was founded in 1966. Looking back to Tzu Chi's humble beginnings, reflecting upon the question Master Zhengyan asked herself when she was young, the answer has revealed itself. By tapping into our innate goodness, a wellspring of love will gush forth from our hearts. For half a century, Tzu Chi members have walked the path of truth firmly and steadfastly. For the next 50 years and generations to come, Tzu Chi will always be there to bring light to the world.